What have you seen?
My dog's got fleas.
Yeah, we'd use it tonight in the gig.
Vardis gig.
Oh yeah. And Joe.
That was a musical intro to the interview. Perfect. I've never had a musical intro to an interview.
That's the gig.
Well, that was too
That's the opening number. Oh dear.
Okay, guys.
Okay,
tonight's gig with Diamond Head is long overdue. What do you think?
Oh, too long, innit, eh? Unbelievable. Yeah. I mean, it's...
Everything's overdue.
We're overdue.
30 years overdue for you two.
I can't get overdue.
No, it is. I mean, this is going to be special. I mean, I think Diamond Head are one of the bands that have endured over the years. Their music's never been forgotten. They've got, you know, a really strong ethos, and in a way, if we'd have carried on, I'd have liked to have thought that we'd have done it much the same as Diamond Head over the years. You know, they've done amazing work, and they play a lot of live shows, which is something now that we're looking to do more of, and get out there and play, innit?
Get out there and play.
So this is great for us.
Yeah, I can't wait. A lot of music fans born after Vardis had split up might not be familiar with the band, so maybe you could briefly tell me how and when the band came together, and maybe mention some highlights of the band's existence.
Okay.
Well, one of your highlights was meeting me and Joe, wasn't it?
Yeah, that one and highlight. That one and highlight. No,
we did consider getting another guitar. Didn't we?
I think obviously when you get your first record contract offer, it's like, ooh, that's so nice. People are taking notice. It's like, oh, and then the other one, when I was a kid, well, when you sort of see yourself in the paper for the first time, you think, oh, what's that, a picture? Oh, it's not us, is it? Yeah. And I think it were probably Jeff Barton at Sounds, or I think it was Jeff who did a heavy metal sort of feature on some up-and-coming bands, Iron Maiden, Leopard, and he included us in that feature, and I think it wasn't really, if you like, a genre within the bands. It weren't like the bands back then thought of themselves other than playing, say, heavy rock or heavy rock and roll music, and heavy metal wasn't like, I never remember saying, oh, I'm in an heavy metal band. I don't know if you did with Dirty Tricks.
No, it was heavy rock.
Yeah, it's a phrase that's grown and grown over the decades. And now it's got so big, it's splintered into different genres in its own. And so the new wave of British heavy metal is sort of one of those, and that's why bands like Vardis and Diamond Head and many, many more are sort of associated with that golden sort of era of new metal, which was from about 79 to, I don't know, 85, 86. That group of bands, particularly from the UK. And it was very strong. There were a lot of bands coming through then, yeah.
Right, the first Vardis full length back in 1980 was a live album. How come?
Well, we'd played a good 5 years doing clubs and working hard and learning how to play, because we were pretty, I mean, some might say it now, but we were pretty naff when we first started, as most bands are, and you have to, the only way you get good and get tight is to keep doing it, and I always say practice is everything, and the best way to practice is to do it in front of an audience and put yourself on the line, and we did that for a good 5 years, and I think we realised that we'd built up a good live following, and we enjoyed live. We'd done sort of recording in the studio, never been happy. I've never been happy with the old recordings, I don't think any of them.
You mean the recordings after 100 miles per hour?
Yeah, I think all the studio stuff I was slightly uneasy that I'd never quite got what I was looking for out of it. And when I look back and I realise what I'd done is I'd not sort of stuck to the sort of Rory Gallagher philosophy of just playing as live as you can in the studio and making it sort of come across as that. And all the stuff I like on Reflection that's done in the studio, all the bands that I enjoyed, and the Old Faces records and all that stuff, it all sounds very live and full of energy and life. And I think that's why I'm so excited again now, because we've made some new recordings. Yeah,
I'll come to that definitely in a moment.
I think those new recordings, for the first time for me, capture the true sound of what Vardis should sound like.
And I mean, your music, your type of music, and the fact that you're a three-piece, the only way to set yourself apart is from your live show, I think.
Of course.
You mentioned the brand new album. Maybe you could tell me more about that.
Well, it's half an album, really, isn't it?
Is it ready to go out?
It's an EP. Yeah, today's the launch. It's an EP. Oh, the album will be next year, but the EP is today.
Oh, it's an EP, and the album.
Yeah, we've got 5 tracks on a 200 miles an hour EP, because it was sort of linked to the very first record.
Of course.
Before the 100 miles an hour album, there was an 100 miles an hour EP. Which came out in the 70s, which did really well with the independent charts and stuff. Very raw, we were just school kids, really. We just left school, to be honest.
You shouldn't have been driving.
And it sounds like that, you know, and its naivety and its innocence are all part of its charm. And it just seemed a really good thing after 30 years of not making any records, to do its first record as the second phase of the new Vardis, the second part, Vardis Part 2. What better title than 200 miles an hour? Because these guys are...
So will we still be able to recognize Vardis from these new songs?
You'll have to tell us.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, at the end of the day, what we've done, there's quite a bit of material on 100 miles an hour that got never recorded in the studio. We never actually laid those down as studio tracks. So it's great that we've got sort of some back catalogue that we can re-record as a studio version. So the new EP, the 5-track EP, 200 miles an hour, there's 2 brand new songs that have just come out. One of them's Jolly Roger, which seems to be getting picked up on radio quite a bit.
These are written recently?
Yeah, last year.
Yeah.
And then there's 2 songs from the golden era, a track called Dirty Money and Move Along, which was from the 100 miles an hour sort of album. And they've now been done in the studio with the new band. And then the bonus track is a live version that we recorded in Nuneaton last month at Queen's Hall. And it's a take of The World's Insane, which is very bluesy. And I think the same day that we played that gig, or the day before B.B. King died, and it just seemed a bit of a thing to play some blues.
Seems just right.
And it felt right, and it feels good on the EP. So we're really pleased with putting that on there.
And I heard you might record tonight's gig, right?
Yeah. I think that we're setting up now some digital system to record the Tonight Show, and all the shows that we play from now on. We will be recording them, and we'll be going through it afterwards and selecting certain tracks that we're happy with, that we can use for future releases. And I think this is a philosophy that we all believe is a way to go forward.
Yeah.
Because the one thing about live recording is, it's terrible when you hear these albums that are blatantly over-tracked and overdubbed, and all the little things are taken out, the mistakes, and the crowd doesn't sound too good, it doesn't sound right. You know, you've got to have a live, raw sound of what the gig was, and I think the fans appreciate that.
We've actually put some mistakes in to make it sound better.
Yeah,
I shan't say where they are.
No, see if you can find them.
I'll go find them.
All right, we'll see. Terry, prior to Vardis, your musical involvement seemed to indicate a wide musical taste. So what makes you tick about music?
I like it if it's got some emotion in it, whether it's heavy, sad emotion or excitement. Yeah, you know, the feeling, that there's got to be some kind of feeling in there. And so yeah, the first music I really got into wasn't rock music at all. It was like movie soundtracks, you know, from the old 60s, 50s and 60s epic films, you know, the big...
Vardis.
Yeah, yeah, I know all them off by heart, you know, all those, you know, the historical epics, because they had big... and all that, you know,
dramatic
big
epic,
riffs, yeah. So I've been into riffs from the beginning, and then first rock band I heard that did the same was the Kinks in their early days. You know, their big riffs, all day and all the night, things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was in that area for a few years, and then the British blues players came along in the 60s. You know, the heavy blues players that were influenced by old American blues.
Rolling
like
Stones,
Clapton, and Jeff Beck, and early Fleetwood Mac, those sort of.
Yeah.
And I'm still kind of there really, but I did move on listening to things like fusion stuff, you know, Mahavishnu Orchestra, Weather Report, maybe. Korea,
Return to Forever.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I stopped, if you see what I mean. I mean, I'm always listening to that stuff now. It's not retro because I never stopped listening to it, so it's just where I am.
It never becomes retro, that music.
No, it's not like I went off and didn't like it for a couple of years and then went back to it, but I've always listened to it because, you know, we're getting bootlegs and live things coming out. There's still a lot to learn about how to do it, you know, how to do it effectively. So that's where I'm coming from and I'm at.
And you also, I believe, had a brief stint with Ozzy's band, is it right?
Very brief, yeah. It was
How did that come about?
Well, I was in a band called Dirty Tricks in the 70s, and we did some albums, and Ozzy's manager knew the Dirty Tricks manager, and when Ozzy was left or was fired from Black Sabbath, they got talking, and we just finished our American tour, and we were kind of going to go our own ways, you know. And so there was three musicians there, and he said, "Why don't you get these guys, take them up to Ozzy's or down to Ozzy's place?"
So what was the lineup of that brief?
It was Johnny from Dirty Tricks on guitar, Andy on drums, me on bass.
Okay.
And Dirty Tricks was a four-piece with a singer, so the singer wasn't involved with Ozzy, obviously.
Yeah.
And we rehearsed for, I suppose, a month at the most in 2 or 3 different, because he was living in Birmingham, you know, Stafford.
Yeah.
We had to go up there, and we just nothing really came of it because he wasn't. He'd probably tell you himself he wasn't ready to have his own band. You know, he was quite.
He was still dealing with no Black Sabbath.
Yeah, and what happened was we were due to start rehearsing in London, and I rang him up to see what time he was going to arrive, and he just said, "Oh, I've rejoined Black Sabbath," and that was it really. That's where it ended suddenly.
One last question about this. So there aren't any recordings about this?
No, not. I've got a couple of little bits, but they're not for anyone to hear. They're not developed.
Not songs, just jamming around.
Trying to find our way in the studio. So, you know, I mean, they're not. You know, I don't consider them mine to release, if you know, or to hand out. You know.
Yeah.
They're just like a diary for me. So I record just about everything I do.